The fruit of the self is obtained through desirelessness. One who is steadfast means one who does not know separateness. To surrender means to give up ego and be humble. In the word Sharana, Shara means an arrow and Na means no. The arrow is denoted by Shara, which also means the unbending ego. Thus, the one who is Sharana, or the one who is surrendered, is one who has given up hardness and is devoid of ego. The company of saints is a very helpful instrument for liberation. What is heaven? To be born in the company of wise persons is itself the attainment of heaven. Consider yourself lucky if your mind becomes fed up with worldly objects. The goddess of sensuality is very fond of the human sacrifice, and she likes it fried alive. The slaves of the belly cannot have the glimpse or darshan of God. Truly blessed is the one who is completely desireless. Always remember that we are from the abode of God, and we are gods entitled to enjoy the nectar of immortality, and are but visitors to this foreign town, the illusory life, just for a few days. The only instrument for liberation is the state of desirelessness. Consider it an offering to the all-devouring death if you have many children. When the crop of illusion is ripe, death devours it. Devotion to the true Guru, the Sadguru, is the birthplace of spirituality. Treat your body as illusion and thereby fulfill your life. When the disciple escapes from illusion, the master is happy. One should satisfy the master with devotion. The man who has been illumined by the light of Brahman should be treated as great, even though he may be young or lowly. One who constantly craves after sense objects is immersed in those objects, and one who meditates on the self becomes the self. Do not say, I will meditate on God later, I'll do it sometime later. You should constantly meditate, contemplate, and let your mind dwell on the self with great love for it. This is the sign of self-attainment. To have no liking for anything other than the self is the sign of self-attainment. Meditation on anything other than the self is bondage. Always meditate on the divine nature of yourself. All other things are unreal. Any other concentration except on the self, who is the Lord, is bondage. Any meditation or thinking except that which is on the very nature of your own being becomes a tight binding. The world, by its nature, is a separateness of species. It will never function smoothly. Any fruit except for the self is futile. Please think this over deeply. You are attracted towards that which is objective because the ego never thinks of the true contentment which is found only in the self. If one really does something for their own true welfare, the sense that I am an individual dies, because that which exists afterwards is not the individual. The individual turns towards sense objects and in doing so turns towards sorrow. The objects that appear to be pleasant are really unpleasant. The objects that appear attractive are actually very destructive and give pain, yet the individual always runs after sense objects. One must therefore stop thinking about sense objects and turn to the path of devotion. One must conceive of oneself as a saint and a person who is ready to sacrifice. When the teaching of the Master is assimilated, worldliness is cut away. And though such a one may be in the world, he is not a slave to the world. The sage Shukha said that one should not chase after sense objects, but one should remain unattached. Pursuing sense objects hinders spiritual devotion, even if such devotion is done with proper attention. One who aspires for self-realization should drop the desire for sensual gratification. It is by craving sensual gratification that the jiva is in a way hanged. Meditate only on God who is in your heart. To be devoted to the one self is the real aloneness.